Hello, I'm Lisa Tan and welcome to this week's Oxwide. Coming up in today's programme, we talk to ITV's Dr Hilary Jones about flu, COVID-19 and ask his advice on how Oxley's staff can look after themselves. Today's National Patient Safety Day, and we hear from Emma Woods, our Patient Safety Lead, on exactly what patient safety entails and why it matters to mark the occasion. But first, a quick word from Rachel Claire Evans about this year's Recognition Awards.
Hello, I'm Rachel Claire Evans and this is a quick message to launch the 2021 Oxley Staff Recognition Awards. It's been an intense year and so many of you have worked so hard to provide brilliant care and real kindness to our patients and to each other. Anyone can submit a nomination and the form is really easy to complete. There are 3 categories. There is the Team of the Year award for each of our 7 directorates, and there are also 2 individual awards. There's our Governor's Award for someone who's shown real kindness and caring in line with our We're Kind and We Care values. And there's also our Shadow Executive Award for someone who's helped to make Oxleas a fairer and more inclusive place to work for all of us in line with our We're Fair value. The deadline for applications is the 13th of October, but don't put it off. Take some time today to fill out a nomination form and make sure that the people that you know deserve recognition in Oxleas are properly celebrated. Best of luck and thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And some great advice there. Look out for nomination forms from early next week. They'll be on our website and the Ox. And I'm sure over the past year we've all worked with people and teams who've gone that extra mile. And this is your opportunity to say thank you. So with the long summer days now coming to an end, for us it's the signal to prepare for this year's flu vaccination campaign. As many of you will know, being vaccinated against influenza is just as vital as COVID-19 vaccines to protect you, your patients and your family. Over the past few years at Oxleas, it's been a real struggle for our hard-working nursing team to get a lot of our staff to have the flu jab. Only 57% of our workforce were immunised last year. So we decided to approach an expert who's passionate about flu vaccinations. Good Morning Britain's Dr Hilary Jones, who very kindly joined me on Teams yesterday to appeal to us all to get the flu jab. And here's how it went. Hilary, thanks very much for joining us today to talk about the flu and our campaign. And we'd like to start by asking you, as we approach the flu season and given the current situation with the COVID pandemic, how do you sort of anticipate things with the flu vaccination will differ this year?
Well, I think that people are tuned into what's been going on with COVID-19. People know it's a respiratory virus that can be quite nasty, and therefore the vaccination uptake has been fairly good for COVID-19. We've vaccinated about 89% of people with the first jab and over 81% with the second jab. So the uptake is really good. People get that. They know that COVID-19 is a threat. And the way back to normality is for as many people as possible to be vaccinated. Now, on top of that, every year we're faced with the threat of influenza. Influenza is also a nasty respiratory virus, but I think it's taken a bit of a back seat to COVID-19. Everyone's been focused on COVID-19. However, flu is still a threat. Nothing's changed as regards the threat of influenza, which for some people can also be a lethal disease. For most people, it's a very nasty disease if they should be unfortunate enough to get it. Every year in the UK, we see anywhere between 10 and 25,000 deaths from flu, mainly in elderly, vulnerable people with pre-existing conditions. But we do see some people lose their lives, pregnant women, for example, younger people, on a random basis, lose their lives. And for others, it's a very nasty disease. It makes you feel very feverish. You can't get out of bed. You lose your appetite, sore throat, hacking cough, ear infections. Very, very nasty. And most people will, be unlucky to get more than one flu in their lifetimes. But the threat's always there. And vaccination is really good at protecting people against serious disease. It gives you 60% thereabouts protection. I have one for that reason, because I'm exposed to patients who might give me flu themselves. It also means that I can stay at work, I can treat my patients, and it's very safe. It's a killed virus. It's a killed virus in the vaccine, so it can't give you flu. And I think there are lots of myths abounding about it. And this year, you certainly wouldn't want to get COVID-19 and flu. That would be very, very dangerous. So for me, it's a no-brainer. The flu vaccine's there on offer. I would encourage as many people as possible to have it if they're eligible.
And so we're saying both the COVID vaccine and the flu jab together are fine, because that's something that we hear people say. They worry about the two of them together, but there's no problem with that at all.
No, it means that you get protection against both the viruses in one go. And when people say, oh, but isn't that too much? No, absolutely not. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that, our bodies are challenged by antigens all the time, multiple allergens every day, whether it's pollen, whether it's viruses, whether it's bacteria. We're bombarded with different microorganisms all the time. So being given two vaccines, two out of, all these different microorganisms and challenges is nothing. Body can well cope with that. And we do that all the time in the childhood routine immunisation programme anyway, by giving 2 or 3 or 4 vaccines at a time completely safely.
One of the other things I think you just touched on as well was that we often hear people say that the vaccine gives them the flu. They have that's what they suffer from after having had the vaccine, but that's not the case either.
No, you can't get flu from the flu vaccine because the vaccine contains a killed virus. It's not alive, and therefore it cannot give you flu. What it might do, it give you a slight reaction in some people afterwards, a bit of soreness at the injection site, and a feeling of tiredness for a few hours, because your body is responding the way we want it to by creating antibodies against the killed virus, which will protect you against the real virus should it come along. So it can't give you flu. It will give you good protection, and in doing so, for an hour or two, it might make you feel a little bit tired. But that's a small price to pay for the protection that you get.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've often struggled at Oxleas with our flu vaccination figures amongst staff. What would your message to our staff here be about having the vaccine to try and help us boost those numbers?
My message would be that here is a very simple, straightforward jab, which takes about 3 seconds to administer. You probably won't feel it, and it can't give you flu. It will give you good protection against the flu, should you be unlucky enough to come across it. It means you won't feel really, really ill if you catch the flu. And for the sake of the small risk of a bit of a sore arm for a few hours, or a bit of tiredness for a few hours, it's really worth having. I have it. My family have it. My mother has it. And I encourage everybody who's eligible to have it, because it's very safe, very straightforward, and it protects you, and it protects everybody that you work with.
As we're going into flu with the pandemic, and the strain that's already put people under, what sorts of advice would you give to our staff they've got colleagues who are often off, self-isolating, or have got COVID, and they themselves and their family members too. So what sorts of advice would you give to people around looking after themselves in terms of their well-being and mental health at work?
Yeah, I mean, I know that this pandemic has created so many challenges for people. People are worried about their health. They're worried about the health of their friends and their family. They're worried about finances, about relationships, just normal life. And I completely understand that. It's normal to feel anxious and a bit down about this. We all want to get out of this pandemic, go on holiday and go partying, all the things that we love doing. And I'm no different to anybody else. But equally, we have to be a bit cautious at the moment. We need to take every measure we can to protect ourselves and those around us by being responsible and sensible. We will get out of this. We've got to be a bit more patient. Coronavirus will be around for a little while yet. The flu is on the horizon. And so any simple things that we can do, keeping, optimistic, keeping a sense of perspective about all these illnesses, knowing that the NHS is there to support us and help us if we need it. Talking to our friends and family about happy things, about, things to look forward to. Always having a smile on our face, being kind to other people, enjoying good stuff on TV or on the radio, and the work that we do, getting satisfaction from the work that we do, looking after the elderly and the vulnerable. These are things that make us feel satisfied and cheerful. We will get out of this. We just need to look, into the future, get through the winter, and it'll all take care of itself. But it just means being a bit patient, a bit responsible. Don't feel worried if you feel anxious and depressed, because many people do at the moment. But just think of those coping strategies. Share your worries with other people and theirs with you. And as I say, we'll get through it.
So thanks very much, Hilary. Thank you.
All right. I hope that's useful, and I hope even if it raises the uptake rate by a few percent, we'll have succeeded.
Exactly. That's what we're hoping for, as much as we can. So it's great.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
My pleasure. Take care.
A big thank you once again to Dr Hilary for taking the time out of his busy day to speak to us. And please do listen to his advice and get that flu jab. So on to our second film, and today is World Patient Safety Day, a day which brings together patients, families, caregivers, communities, health workers, healthcare leaders and policymakers to show their commitment to patient safety. Our patient safety lead, Emma Woods, spoke to us earlier this week about the work that Emma and her team do to keep our patients safe. Over to Emma.
Today is World Patient Safety Day. In Oxleas, we're using this as an opportunity to talk about the National Patient Safety Strategy. National Patient Safety Alerts are sent through to the Trust from the CAS alert system. So these are things like when you go to Tesco's and you have a product recall where they ask for baby food to be returned. CAS alerts come through to us as a trust so that we can disseminate the information to make sure that whatever is dangerous or unsafe is taken off of the wards and is made into a system which is working for us. So we get the CAS alerts through, which some people may not have seen. We get these through and we disseminate them to the CAS leads, who then filter it through to the different wards and teams, and then actions taken for that. So for example, recently we had a CAS alert about FFP3 masks, and the information was cascaded down through the teams to make sure that the masks we were using were safe and fit for purpose. CAS is the central alerting system, so that's a national system that is in all trusts around the country, where they tell all of us about the different alerts and problems that might have come up so that trusts can do something about it. Incident reports within the trust have varying levels of quality, and we want to try and work with staff to make them better and easier for staff to complete. What we've been doing recently is trying to make sure that the actual Datex incident reports have boxes that are relevant to the questions that are being asked, so it's easier for staff to actually report on what they've seen. What we are doing is working with the learning and development team to do an online piece of training so that it gives people a much better view of Datex and how to complete it. We're also going to be doing these as face-to-face, probably via Teams, but we will also come out to different teams to see people if they want us to, so that we can work on the Datex training, and if there's any questions, people can always contact the patient safety team. Part of the National Patient Safety Strategy is to have patients involved as partners. So this will involve patients actually being employed as volunteers within the Trust so that they come to high-level meetings, are involved in policy making, involved in team meetings so that they can give their perspective and also make sure that we're involving things that are really relevant to patients. They will be coming into force in April 2022, so we'll be actively recruiting people very soon. Training for staff for patient safety is part of the National Patient Safety Strategy as well. There'll be different levels, so there'll be levels 1 to 5. Levels 1 to 2 will be for all staff, and these will probably be delivered via some form of e-learning, but we're in conversations with learning and development. Levels 3 to 5 are going to be for senior staff and for people who are very heavily involved in patient safety. So these will be coming out soon, and there will be a national scheme of work which will be put out to all members of staff. These training courses will be essential to roll, so all staff will be told which ones they need to attend and which ones they need to participate in. We're trying to make patient safety as accessible as possible for all staff. So we're going to be starting a patient safety webpage on the Ox, which will have examples of serious incidents that have occurred and basically walk staff all the way through the process from when the incident happened up until the point where the team were debriefed at the end. This isn't intended to be any kind of blame for teams. All it is literally for is to make sure that people can see how the process works and demystify it a little bit, because a lot of people are quite nervous of doing serious incidents. We're hoping that this will make people see that the process is not a bad one, and also to see that patient safety is here to make things better for us to learn from incidents rather than us being frightened of the process. The patient safety team is made up of two different arms. There's the patient safety side, which I lead on, and there's the serious incident side, which Caroline Mellier leads on. The SI part of the team deals with serious incidents, as the name suggests, which includes things like deaths, hangings, suicides. And that part of the team investigates fully, working with the team that the incident has happened to try and work out what we can do to not let this happen again. It's very much a process about people learning from the incident rather than it being a blame game. That's not what we're here to try and do. We try and lead teams through the process and find out what happened and what we can do to make it better. Patient safety is very much based on the practical things that happen before you get to a serious incident. So medical devices, falls, pressure ulcers, the things that happen to patients when they're on our wards or in our teams. We also have a very exciting opportunity which has occurred, which is the Medical Devices Safety Officer, which we're interviewing for this week. So hopefully we will have somebody in post who will be able to lead on medical devices and to be able to go out to teams and be much more forward-facing. Patient safety has been something that's been with us for a long time, but the work that we're doing will help staff to be able to feel more confident to explore the subject and also to make it less intimidating and frightening. It's really not a terrifying subject. We find that people are so scared to talk about it that when it does happen, it becomes a really, really big thing for them. And we want to make it so they can come and talk to the team, see what's going on, and we can help them through it. Also, it will make things better for patients. So that's what we are aiming to drive through all of this. And World Patient Safety Day is just a way for us to be able to spread the word on the wards and hopefully make everybody feel a bit more confident.
Brilliant film there from Emma, and a big thanks to all the patient safety team for their ongoing hard work ensuring that our patients do indeed remain safe under our care. Hopefully some of you managed to see Emma and Kerry today as they visited our sites right across the Trust, and maybe you enjoyed a cup of tea and a biscuit with them. So that's all we have time for this week. A big thank you to everyone who took part. We hope you enjoyed our films, and don't forget to look out for the Recognition Awards nomination forms, which we'll be putting on our website and the Ox next week. Also look on the Ox in the next few weeks for more details of our flu vaccination campaign. Our flu page will have all the details of where you can get your jab, and of course it's where you'll find our famous jabometer. And please remember, if you'd like us to come and visit you and showcase your team, drop us a line at the email address on the screen now and we'll get in touch as soon as we can. So until the next time, goodbye.